If you work in university maintenance, Granger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Granger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more. And all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRANGER, visit Granger.com, or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
When you manage procurement for multiple facilities, every order matters. But when it's for a hospital system, they matter even more. Grainger gets it and knows there's no time for managing multiple suppliers and no room for shipping delays. That's why Grainger offers millions of products in fast, dependable delivery, so you can keep your facility stocked, safe, and running smoothly. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
She said something, and I'll read it to you, that really resonated with. She said, quote, "I keep thinking about all it took to get here, doubting myself, going back and forth with what I want, being scared to waste my time and look stupid in case none of it worked out. And then I realized it was all in my head. No one was doubting me except for me," close quote. And that hit home. Like, we've all been there. I don't care how confident you are. You can be doing a lot of stuff. You can be in relationships. You can be running with people. And you're like, is it worth my time? Am I going to look crazy? Am I look stupid? Am I look goofy, doing this? Is this person going to play me? You can get played in a relationship. You can get played in business.
Yep.
So that resonated with me. And it kind of, like you said, everything kind of came together and it all made sense. So I love the ending. I'm going to watch it again. I may do like you. I may just go back and watch all of the seasons again because I really, really love this show. Welcome back. Thank you for checking out this episode of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm 12 Kyle. Check this out. On October 9th, 2016, the first episode of Insecure debuted, and viewers everywhere, especially black ones, exhaled. At last, we had a show just about living. There were no intricate drug cartels or plantation-based drama. Instead, we were immersed in a relatable, hilarious, and extremely well-written and well-shot show about the lives of young black adults trying to find their way. On this podcast, we're going to talk about Insecure. And I won't be doing it alone. My podcast family, my girl Maya, will be in the building to join me. And we're going to talk about everything from our thoughts on the show, some of our favorite characters, how the show actually ended, black women, life, friendships, all of that and more. So after the break, what you will hear, maybe we're all insecure, from the 12 Kyle podcast. Let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Thank you for downloading. And thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm your boy 12 Kyle. And we have a special podcast this week. On this one, we're actually going to go a little bit back. We're going to talk a little TV. And I won't be doing this podcast alone. I will be joined by, I got some podcast family in the building. She is no stranger to the show. Great friend of the show. One half of the We Did That Shit podcast, my girl Maya. Maya, welcome. You're in the building. What's up?
Hey, Kyle. You know how I always say when I'm on your show, Mama made it. When I make it here, it's like, I made it.
Oh, no, you family. So you good. You good. How's everything?
Everything is everything. Everything is everything. I can't complain.
So if you guys been following the podcast, you know Maya's been on here. She was on here before with her cousin, the other half of the We Did That Shit podcast, Babi. Shout out to Babi. She didn't make this one, but she'll be on the next one, I promise. So I got you on here. We're going to talk about the hit show Insecure. If you've been hiding under a rock, you know the Insecure just recently wrapped up its 5th and final season of the series. And it was a roller coaster ride, to say the least. This series debuted October 9th, 2016, and ended December 26th, 2021. So for those of you who don't know, I'm just going to give you a brief synopsis of what Insecure was, in case you don't know what Insecure is. Insecure was described as a modern day Black woman, or women, if you will. And when you think about Black women, sometimes they can be described as strong and confident. But when you think about Issa and her best friend Molly, they're really the opposite. This show is really about these two best friends and how they deal with their own real life flaws, their insecurities, and how everything kind of comes together. The show obviously was created by superstar Issa D and Issa Rae. I don't want to call her Issa D. Her name was Issa D on the show. Issa Rae and Larry Whitmore. The series is a comedy series and looks at, friendships, basically the friendship of these two Black women and then the people surrounding them in a very unique and authentic way. It also introduces music, and we'll talk about this a little later, the music and artists of color, both popular as well as independent artists, and also deals with social and racial issues that kind of describe the Black experience, if you will. So with that being said, I had to have Maya on here because I really couldn't have done this podcast by myself. I know Maya watches Insecure just like I did. Mm-hmm. And it would be great. I felt like it would be great. One, because Maya's very knowledgeable, but two, I can't tell you about the woman experience. So I'm sure that Maya's going to drop a lot of science on here about what, things that happen in the show that, she could definitely relate to or, speak to. So let's start at the beginning, Maya. Again, I said it debuted October 9th, 2016. Mm-hmm. When Insecure came out, how did you discover it? Was it out already when you started watching it, or did a friend tell you about it? How did you come to Insecure?
Well, I came to Insecure because I used to watch Issa Rae doing the YouTube Awkward Black Girl. Okay. And I'm on YouTube all the time, just watching whatever. YouTube is like a rabbit hole. You watch one thing,
it is
on something else. and that was kind of how I discovered Issa, even the Awkward Black Girl, because I was watching somebody do commentary on like a show. And, like on the side, they have the videos, and I was like, oh, well, let me see what this is, because it was like a Black series. So I was like, let me see what it is. And I started watching that, and it was so funny. Not that I could relate to her being awkward, because I don't feel like I'm awkward, but it was funny just to even see her navigate through her awkwardness. So that was how I found her. And then, through that, it was like, oh, I'm coming out with this show on HBO. And I watch all the shows on HBO because they always have a hit on their hands.
Yes.
So, and then just knowing that she created Awkward Black Girl, wrote it and produced it, directed, all that kind of good stuff. So it was like, well, let me see what she's hitting for.
Okay, that's what's up. That is funny, because I was the total opposite. I had never seen Issa Rae before, or never even heard of her before the show came out. Okay. I think much like you, I think I'd seen a clip or two of Awkward Black Girl, but I didn't know what it was. And so but like you said, on YouTube, it's a rabbit hole. You start watching one video, you watch 10, and next thing you know, 2 hours later, right, you're still sitting in the same spot, not even looking at what you came to YouTube to watch.
Right.
So I remember how I came to Insecure. I was driving downtown in Atlanta, and I was parked at this light, and I looked up, and there was this billboard, and it was just a picture of Issa Rae, I guess the original picture of her. Her head is kind of crooked, and it just says Insecure. And it says, debuts Sunday night, or whatever the date was, in October, whatever, and that's all it said. And it didn't say starring Issa Rae, or it didn't say anything. And the thing that caught me was just Issa, because I was like, oh, because where I was, it's kind of inconspicuous place to be to have a billboard that size, and I mean, it's a huge billboard downtown. I was like, wow, I was like, okay, and it was a black woman, and she was pretty, and I was like, okay, this is kind of weird. I was like, okay, now I just kind of made a mental note. Okay, I'm insecure, and I don't, and you know me, y'all have heard me talk about it. I don't watch a lot of TV like that.
Yeah.
So, if it's a black show, I'm probably watching, as long as it's not ratchet. I can't get with the Housewives and all that other stuff. I mean, no knock to. I know. I see your tweets. I know you do. I see your tweets every Monday morning. Talking about what Nene did. So anyway, long story short, like later that day, I kind of made a mental note of myself, like, okay, check that thing out on HBO. Much like you, I'm a fan of the HBO shows, all the way back to The Wire, Sopranos, Entourage. Those are some of my favorite shows. Curb Your Enthusiasm is one of my favorite shows. So anyway, long story short, I get home and I just kind of make a mental note. And then that Sunday, it was that Sunday afternoon. I kind of was like, man, I'm supposed to be doing something today. And I was like, oh, you're supposed to be watching that show. And there was a football game on. So I flipped from the football game, which is something I rarely do. I was like, let me see what this thing is about. And so I watched the first episode and I was hooked.
Yeah, it catches you right from the beginning.
It does, because the first episode deals with, it's Issa's birthday. She's living with her live-in boyfriend, Lawrence, and he's somewhat of a bum. I can't call him a bum, but he was
he was just in a hard space.
He was in transition. And so what we used to call them BUM, Brothers Under Management. So that, and then she got a DM from her on Facebook from her. I don't even know if it was an ex. It was a guy she used to.
Her ex. He was her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah, Daniel. And it kind of went from there. Daniel wished her a happy birthday, and people always laugh about those Facebook DMs and how they start a whole bunch of drama and trouble. And from that first episode, I got hooked. And I didn't know anything about the show, didn't know anything about Issa Rae, didn't know anything about Molly or any. And one of the things that jumped out to me was these are these young black people, and they kind of look like us, and they're not superficial or phony.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, this, and again, I knew nothing about the show, and I was hooked from like day one. And so I just, from that point on, it was something that I was watching every Sunday without fail. Right. The next question I have for you, what did you love about the show? If you could, even if it's a bunch of things, just some things that you loved about the show.
Well, of course, I love that it showcased us as Black people. And even though I'm older than the, characters by just a little bit, I liked
lightly.
I like that it showed what you do go through in your 20s, especially in your late 20s, transitioning into that new part of your life, which is your 30s, where you feel like you should have it all together, but you don't. You still like kind of learning yourself, and like the show said, insecure about a lot of things that's going on. I like the character development, of course. It was like, okay, from where you started to where you are now.
Right.
I also like that the emotion that the show gave you, because it really brought out a lot of emotion in people. And I'm sure that we'll talk about this. It was like you hated the people, then you loved them. And then it was like, girl, I'm rooting for you, but Emma, you was mad at the men. It provoked the man versus women thing, So I just loved it. I love the fashions in the show. I really loved that it showcased like music, even like the whole part of LA. It made you feel like you was from LA, even though you may have never even been to LA. So I like that she really honed in on that part of it. So I mean, it was just like so many things to love about the show. I liked it. Even though it was a comedy, it had a little bit of drama into it. And I like that. It wasn't like we were laughing at these people. Like we were really looking at these people like, girl, I know exactly what you're going through. Because every week I was like, I know exactly what you're going through. So I really love that part about it too.
Yeah, I'm with you 1,000%. I think one, I love the way that it was shot. Just from a technical standpoint, and I'm not a movie director or anything like that, but it's shot so beautifully. And especially as the years went on, you saw a lot of scenes where there was a lot of color contrast, and that goes back to the fashion that you mentioned. And it's funny because like I probably had gotten to season 3 before I really started kind of paying attention to the fashion. But like when you go back and look at some of those stuff, like even, I mean, well, Issa didn't really have the money at first, but Molly had some fly shit on, right? She was like, and I mean, she had a great job or whatever like that. But I love that. I love the fact that, you know, it was, like you said, it was authentically us. It was Black. I love the fact that they added in the technology aspect of texting. You know, we saw the text messages running across the screen. And I mean, like that was and at that point in time, I'm willing to say that I don't really recall any other shows at that time that was doing that. That made it look more realistic.
Right.
You got a chance to see what the characters were feeling, what they were saying. Much like you said, the character development. I loved how they shot it in LA. I mentioned this on another podcast. Like every episode I watched, I was like, damn, I might need to move to LA.
Yeah. I know you have said that on your show. Like if you could live somewhere else, you would live in California.
Yeah, it's nice. But it's so expensive. It is so, I mean, like, you know, if I moved out there now, I probably have to like leave like 2 of the kids here. Like, like, hey, y'all just stay over here in this corner right here. I'm going to LA. But I've been out there the last 2 years, and I always have a great time out there. But it was just like so beautiful, and just seeing the shots. But I kid you not, every episode, the idea crossed my mind. And then when I saw that series finale, I was like, damn, you know, it might not be, you know, I might be able to, I need some more money. But if I can get to this, I was like, man,
lifestyle would change. That's what
lifestyle would change huge. And I mean, you know, I'm older now, the kids are older, and more importantly, you know, our family's here. So, and my wife's family's here, and then my family is in South Carolina, so it's only 4 hours away. So realistically, I ain't moving nowhere, but I wanted to.
Right.
So I loved everything. I loved the language of the show. They kept the conversations fresh, but it wasn't like I'll give you an example. Like I was never really fond of prior to this show. I know that some women, not all women, some women speak to each other and using the word bitch, right? Yeah. That's not a word that I grew up using. That's not a word like I heard my mom use unless she was in traffic and she was mad at somebody, or she was ready to fight somebody somewhere.
Right.
But and the women that I grew up around really didn't use it. So I'm not going to say it was foreign to me, because of course I heard women say that, but in this show, it's used such as a term of endearment, but it's not overused.
Yeah.
And I think that was one of the things that was impressive as well, is just the language and how everybody kind of correlated, you know, their experiences and everything like that. I love the characters, and we'll get into that in just a few. I love the characters. I loved, I loved everything about the show. There's very little about the show that I disliked. Yeah. You mentioned music. I love the music of the show. I love the overall vibe. It was definitely a vibe. Each, you know, Sunday night that we sat down and watched TV. So I got into it. Well, I'm not gonna say I got into it, but I remember having a discussion maybe about 2 years ago with another guy on Twitter, and you know how that can go. And he said that Insecure to him wasn't realistic. Now, I wasn't about to get into an argument with him over Twitter, because you know how that can go. But how realistic do you think it was? Because I have my own opinion about it, but he was just like, he's like, I don't think this is realistic. How realistic do you think the show was?
From a woman's standpoint, it is 100% realistic. It was not one thing in that show that is unrealistic, and especially speaking from a single woman's perspective. From the single woman's perspective, which I am, from the beginning when they were talking about the online dating and all of the, can I cuss?
Yeah.
And all of the bullshit that you have to go through. Because I mean, you know,
right.
I'm on the show. I want to make sure I come back.
You know
all the bullshit that you have to filter through with men out here. you know, all of that stuff that Molly went through with dating. Now, Molly was she will talk about her. She was her own unique person. But I know so many women like Molly, you know, but just the experience that she had to go through, filtering through all of the toads to get to the prince, right? At the end. And the way that you talk to your girlfriends, the vibe that the 4 girls had, you definitely, I 100% talk to my girlfriends and be like, bitch, let me tell you what happened. And yeah, it's a term of endearment. You don't use it, you know, all the time, but you definitely use it. And when you use it, it's like, you know, you made it too, because you my bitch. So, I mean, it's a thing. So I don't even think anything in the show was unrealistic. Just even with Issa and Lawrence's relationship, the way that Issa got with another man and Lawrence was still pining for her and she was still pining for him, the baby situation. Like, I'm trying to think of what old boy thought was unrealistic about the show, because it was 100% real life. And I'm in my 40s, and yes, I can relate to the show 100%. All of the things that have happened throughout the season, and they were in their late 20s and then early 30s. Yeah, I went through that in my late 20s, early 30s, and still going through it with the men in my 40s. So yes, it was realistic to me. The career paths that they went through, I mean, just like everything about the show was realistic. I don't get that at all, that it was unrealistic.
You know what, Maya, I think, I don't think he got it, you know, and that's okay, because some people don't get it. Or maybe he had an agenda and he was just, because I want to say he made that statement. It was like on a Monday morning where everybody was talking about whatever happened the night before and on Twitter. And but I agree with you 1,000%. I think it's very realistic. I think one of the things that stood out to me was just the aspect of, like you said, you had these women who were in their late 20s, early 30s. And that was key to me, because when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I'm not a woman. The women that I knew, I'm not going to say I didn't know women going through that. Maybe I did, but we weren't really on that level to where they would be communicating. Where we'd be talking about it. Because even like my friends from college, you know, we were still cool and we still kick it. We still kick it to this day. But whatever they were going through in our early 30s, I didn't know about. You know, I knew that, you know, some get married, some have kids, some move on, some, you know, take careers, take off, whatever the case may be. But so that was one of the things that was appealing to me, because I think the show showed me as a man what Black women go through. And it's not, you know, we're not a monolith. We have different experiences and come from different places in the world. And we all kind of want some of the same things. And I think just being a man, I could appreciate that, because that show opened my eyes up to so much that I don't think I would have seen had it been, you know, if it was a man run show, if you will. I don't think the story would have been told the same. I think that guy just really kind of didn't get it. Or maybe he was just on an agenda where he just wanted to say something to be a contrarian or whatever the case may be. But no, I think the show is very realistic. I think it's very realistic to the point where we see a lot of ourselves in a lot of stuff that happened. Like you said, I couldn't speak to the 30-year-old, you know, single Black woman, but watching the show, I had a deeper appreciation for what they went through, you know, because again, the women that I knew at 30, 31, you know, were they going through this kind of stuff? Maybe they were, maybe they weren't.
They were, honey. They were. And even they were, but even the male perspective, and I mean, you can speak to that because you are a man, but even the male perspective of, like, let's just even take in the beginning when, you know, like the first episode or the second episode when Issa and Lawrence was going through, when Issa kind of walked out on Lawrence and he called his boy and he was like trying to express his feelings, and his boy was like, yeah, man, you gonna be all right. Let me get back to this game. You know, even with that, like, I'm sure as a man you have experienced that with, you know, you trying to be open with your friend, and he like, yeah, I mean, what is this, soap opera stuff? I'm not going to talk about this, and let me go back to the game, you know. So even with Lawrence transitioning into who he became, you know, him going through that bum stage, if you will. I mean, I'm sure every man has even went through that, and dealing with a woman, you know, trying to get her to understand where you're coming from. And she's like, you know, So I
Yeah.
mean, again, I don't see what was unrealistic about the show. It was very
Yeah,
real.
it was very realistic, and you touched on a great point. Like Lawrence, I'll use Lawrence and his friends. You know, Derek and Chad. Chad was a great example.
Mhm.
Every guy I know has a Chad in their life. I have a Chad in my, and I'm married. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I have a Chad in my life, and you have to kind of take your Chads with a grain of salt because not everybody. And Chad means well.
Yeah.
Chad meant as much to Lawrence as Molly meant to Issa.
Yes.
But the difference is that, you know, and you saw this play out over a period of time, you can't really take Chad that serious, or you have to kind of take him with a grain of salt.
You're right.
And, you know, there was a point in time where Molly was that to Issa, and then obviously they became closer as you know, time went on or whatever like that. And they went through their ups and downs as well.
Mhm.
But no, that part is very realistic. The friendships, and I think overall you get beyond the gender part of it.
Mhm.
And at the core, it's about friend, and we'll talk about it later. It's about friendships, love, and relationships.
Yes.
And that escapes all genders. It's just because that's the bare bones of what this show was about.
Right.
So as far as the characters,
Mm.
do you see yourself in any characters? If so, which characters, and what do you see in them?
This is going to pain me to say. This is
Uh-oh.
definitely going to pain me to say. But if I had to say that I could relate to one character more than the next,
Mhm.
for myself, it would be Molly.
Really?
Even though
Wait,
not
are you talking like early Molly or mid, or like season 3, 4 Molly, or
I'm
you talking about
probably like, I'm just talking about the navigating through
Okay.
the men part of Molly. Now it's a
Mhm.
twofold to that, because
Mhm.
Molly was thirsty in the sense, like, she just wanted some. You know,
Yes.
I don't even want to call her thirsty. She just was like, she wanted to be in a relationship, you know,
Yes.
and I'm not like that. Like, so, you know, 3 dates. I'm like, so what's up with us? Like, we together? I'm far from that.
That
know,
ain't
I'm
you.
so
That ain't you at all.
However, her just, you know, like, kind of filtering through the men, like, thinking, you know, like, I found somebody, he cool, we vibing, it's all whatever. And then it's like, no, it's nothing. Now, this, I don't want to say it, but I mean, I'll say it. I'm
Go ahead,
probably
say it.
usually the one that's like, deuces. However, I related to what she was going through. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? I that part of her, I related. Her anal self, I kind of related to that a little bit too, just because she wanted to be in control. Her biggest thing throughout the theme of the show was that she wanted to control all situations.
Mhm.
And I'm like that a lot too. And you know, things are out of your control. But when I watch the show, I'm like, damn, I feel you, because I want to be in control of things too. Not in relationships or
Mhm.
anything like that, but just like in controlling your life. You know,
Right.
she wanted to be in control of how her career was going to go. She ultimately wanted to be control of how her relationship was going to go, what she thought it was going to be. Like, you know, she had a thought of her life. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to get this job. I'm going to get this man. I'm going to have this dog. I'm going to get this house. You know, she had a thought of how her life would be. And when it was not turning out that way, then it was like, oh my goodness, what
Mhm.
do I do? So she was the person that I could relate to the most. Issa, like I said, I'm not that awkward person that is like, Issa, you know, really had a lot of insecurities. I don't feel that I have. Kelly was the comic relief. Hilarious, you know, like, I'm funny to within my friend circle too. So I guess I could relate to her. And Tiffany, I mean, you know, I couldn't relate to
Living this
her
piece
at
of
all.
work.
I couldn't relate to her at all. But yeah, and that pains me to say, because I'm gonna tell you, every week I was like, Molly is getting on my damn nerves. But again, I could see myself in
Mhm.
her the most.
Mhm. You know, I get that. And I understand that perspective because Molly, she had some characteristics. Like, it was, I can't remember what season it was. It might have been season 4 with her relationship with Andrew.
Mm.
And she mentioned something about, like being afraid to kind of go in because she felt like, once she goes in, she'll sabotage it because like the
Mm-hmm.
previous relationships hadn't worked. I could relate to that because at one point in time in my life, I was the same way. Like I couldn't, the deeper the commitment got, the scarier I got. I was like, oh, well, this
Yeah.
is going on too long, so
Yeah. Yeah.
something about to
Yeah.
fall out of the sky, something's about
Right.
to happen, So
It was
I
a
could relate.
self-sabotaging thing,
It is.
and
It
we
is.
don't realize that. I don't mean to cut you off, but we
No,
don't
no.
realize that we do that. A lot of times we self-sabotage and we have you just really don't think of it until after the fact. And then you're
Mhm.
like, damn, I could have did this different. I could have did that different. And that's what it is. It's a self-sabotaging. It's almost like a like nowadays mental health is all the rage, right?
Right, right.
So you're digging more into your mental health. It's like what I guess therapists would say, like you don't feel that you deserve it's a small part of you that don't feel like you deserve whatever it
Mhm.
is that the world is trying to give you, right?
Right.
And so I think a lot of that was with Molly as well. She just was very self-sabotaging. But I again, in knowing me and seeing me in her, it's a control thing.
Mhm.
That's all.
And that makes sense. I think with Molly and like I said with me, I would see in her just the idea of and you saw that in Issa, and I think that's an insecurity. I think that all of us have to some degree, where especially nowadays when you think about social media, um, society tells you that you're 30, you should be finish college, or you should have a husband, or you should have 2.2 kids, a house, a
Mhm,
dog, and all of this other stuff.
mhm,
And somebody said it, and it's I can't remember who said it, but it's worth repeating. Social media accentuates the highlights. You know what I'm
mhm.
saying? So you ain't gonna catch me on my worst day posting on IG, because your worst day is not your highlight.
Right.
It's when you get the new promotion, or when you go out to dinner, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think they kind of, both Molly and Issa felt, they kind of succumbed to that, where they were worried so much about am I where I should be,
Mhm.
and that's understandable, because Issa had like this dead end job, and then she, well, I don't want to say it was a dead end job, but she was, she was at We Got Y'all,
Yeah.
and she, she's the black face in this
Mhm.
nonprofit, and everybody's looking at her like for the black issues and all of this stuff like that. And she's trying to get a promotion. And then she stopped doing that. She drove Uber for a while. She was,
Mhm.
on somebody's couch. She was on Daniel's couch at one point. It took her a lot. The glow up just didn't happen.
Yes.
It took her to, creating the block, um, and throwing a block party, and the success of that, for her to really find her passion. And I
Mhm.
think all of us are like that to some degree, where, you know, you can do something, and you can go to school or go to get a trade or whatever like that, and be doing it for years. And then you realize, like, am I doing what I want to do?
Right.
Am I doing what I want to do? And am I doing what I need to do? Most of us are
Mhm.
probably doing what we need to do,
Mhm.
but if you could do what you wanted to do, what would that be? What would that look like? What it would feel like? And then, are you worried so much about, the outside influences? I think one of the things that stood out to me also was that, even as Issa struggled, her team of friends in Molly, I mean, well, Tiffany always had something funny and smart to say, but
Mhm.
Molly and Kelly always supported her.
Yeah.
And
And Tiffany
like,
supported her in her own, in
mhm,
her
in
Tiffany
her,
way.
yeah, in her way, because
Tiffany was one of them people, like, you have to accept people for where they are and who
right.
they are to you in your life. You can't put your expectations of who you are
Mhm.
on somebody else. Tiffany is that person. I don't expect you to be anybody but who you are. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And then all of them went to school together. They went to Stanford, which is, I don't think I caught that like at the beginning of the show. I think, probably wasn't until season 3 that I realized that they all are going to college together.
Mhm.
And, but yeah, I think even in Issa's down moment, she still had a team of friends that were bigging her up. And, even Kelly, in her silliness and funniness, still had, love for her, and still was, going to make her feel good about whatever situation was.
Mhm.
Um, Now, as far as the characters, who were your favorite characters and why?
Well, I would say Kelly. obvious for the
Yes.
obvious reason, right? I mean, who could say that Kelly wasn't their favorite character? Because she truly was the comic relief. I mean, her
Mhm.
one-liners, were unforgettable. And she was just like that crazy friend that, because I have friends like that I have one friend in particular that I'm thinking of that's just like, I mean, she could be a damn stand-up comedian. That's how funny she is.
Wow.
Every time I'm around her, we are laughing our asses off. However, even in that jokiness of who she is, you always get comfort from
Mhm.
her, right? So she was my favorite. And then Issa was one of my favorite characters too, even though she got on my damn nerves. Like she had a lot of moments where she got on my last nerve, but she was who she was. One
Mhm.
thing I liked about the show was those characters were true to who they were.
Thanks.
Issa was a screw up, kind of, sort of. She was true to that. Because even in
Mhm.
her glow up, she was still like, just like a little screw up when she was who she was. So she was one of my favorites too. And then I liked, even though a lot of people didn't like him, but I liked Lawrence. I always was rooting for Lawrence.
Okay. Okay.
Always. I liked him. I
Okay.
mean, and yeah, I liked him.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, one for me, Kelly. Kelly was just hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
No, you know I eat out a lot.
Oh, girl. Lids?
I like my caps fitted.
That is just, Radio Shack ain't even a store no more. Rite Aid. You buying groceries at Rite Aid?
I buy panties there too.
Well, if it'd make you feel better, then you could throw them a few extra bucks.
Oh, yeah. You're not charging me this time.
I'm sorry, what?
You're not charging me this time.
You not? You concubine.
What? Kelly? No.
Not even a little bit. Touch it. Suck it. Fuck it. Just wake up at his email.
No, Kelly.
Okay, you cooking? Cleaning. Detailing the nigga's car. Damn, you getting over. I mean, if Daniel let you stay a little longer, you should, just to save money. Don't look a gift horse in a dick.
That's not a thing.
It is. My grandmother said it to me. Which one is Andrew? Is he the black one or the Asian one?
The Asian one.
Good, because I've been fucking the black one. A lot.
But I know I want to end up with a black man, so what is the point?
The point is you are single. You are very single.
Tell her.
You are so single, a tumbleweed just rolled out your pussy. So why can't I be Orthodox black?
Because that's not a religion.
Speak for yourself. That's my religion.
Kelly, shut up. You don't even go to church.
I go on important days, like when I come back from Miami. The Lord knows I get turned.
Molly, yeah, we should get to the shower early tomorrow to help Tiffany set up and shit.
You're right. Kelly, you find anything good in that Gladys Knight cookbook yet?
What do y'all think of these? Do these cupcakes say, congratulations on your light-skinned baby? Right? Because it's all light. Every layer is light, but then there are little chocolate bits to remind them, you still a nigga.
Makes sense.
Like, I can see it.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. She had some of the funniest scenes that you would ever want to see. She kept me in stitches. Always. She kept me in stitches. Her, like you said, her one-liners were incredible. I loved Issa. I loved Issa like from the beginning. And again, I think part of it was because I didn't know anything about her.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember like in the first episode, she smiled and I was like, oh shit. Cause like she has a really pretty smile. And I was like, she's got a pretty smile. And like the thing that also stood out to me, especially like in the first couple of episodes, you see these dark faces. They're black people, but then you see these dark, and you didn't really see a lot of that in Hollywood, and especially not on a TV show. And there are no white what was her name? Frida. There was one white character, but there was not a token white friend or anything like that.
Which I loved.
Me too. And that's no disrespect to white people, but this is our show. You know what I'm saying? And so to see these black faces on the screen, I think that stood out to me. And everybody looked good. I don't know how the fellas look, but
they looked good too.
That's what they say. I don't know. I don't know how the fellas look, but all of the women look good. Kelly, beautiful. Molly, beautiful. Issa, beautiful. Tiffany, even Condola.
She was beautiful, but you know how I feel about her. But she was beautiful.
We go get into Condola in a little bit. But yeah, just beautiful black faces. And the cool part about it too was like there was nothing wrong with their shapes. Everybody was shaped differently. And, you know, Issa had a shape, Molly has a shape, Tiffany has a shape, Kelly has a shape. And I don't ever recall, even with Kelly being plus size, there was no fat jokes. You know what I'm saying? There was no skinny jokes for Molly. I mean, like there was no body shaming, I don't think, ever throughout the entire episode.
Yes.
So I loved Kelly. I loved Molly. Well, not Molly. I loved Issa. Chad.
Yeah. Well, he's like much like Kelly. Like you can't have the show without him. I got a friend just like Chad, and he's single, and so like everything he knows my wife and everything, but like I remember, and he loves my wife. I remember when I told him we would get married, he was like, "You sure you want to sign that contract? Right?
You want to sign that contract? Hey man, I'm telling you, you sign that contract, boys. I had to get out of that contract. Better think about it. You know, you get in it, it's hard to get out." I mean, but that's him. He says dumb shit like that. And I love him for that. And, but every time I saw Chad, I saw him. I love Lawrence. Lawrence is my guy. I felt for Lawrence initially because like after the first episode, I was like, man, this dude, he got to get his shit together. Like, cause I'm thinking to myself, oh, she ain't gonna put up with it. She's going to a job every day and she's coming home with your ass on the couch. And like, as I mentioned in the first episode, like it was Issa's birthday and, you know, she wanted to go out and he was like, well, hey, you know, I was thinking we could watch a movie. And I'm like, dude, you on the couch. You've been on the couch all day and she's coming in from work. I mean, you should feel like crap because your woman's going, and there's nothing right because we all been there before where you didn't have a job or maybe you was at a job and you really weren't on like how you wanted to be. And, you know, as a man, that's got to be demoralizing because like, it's something because like I remember one time when I didn't have a job and my wife was going to work. So it's like, but now when my wife came home, it wasn't like I was just sitting there playing the PlayStation. You know what I'm saying? Food was cooked, you know, stuff was you got to do something. You know,
and I know that's right.
You got to do something. So you know, pick up the kids, whatever the case may be. And I saw that in Lawrence and I'm like, you could, especially when he came to Issa with his idea of the woo-woos and all the stuff like that, he had potential, but you just didn't know how it was gonna roll. So
and potential is hard. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's hard.
Talk to me about potential because I see it in your face.
I mean, it is hard. Here's the thing. When you've been with somebody for a long time, they was together for 5 years. So when you've been with somebody for that long, because I've had a long-term love in my life, you know, and again, I could understand exactly what the hell they was going through. It's easier to be with potential that you've been with for a long time because you feel like, you know, we already in it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna just support him through this. It's hard for potential to come into your life new. So, and here's the thing, everybody doesn't reach their potential. So while you want to be supportive of potential, it's a twofold thing. It's hard because you have to know that the person is going to strive to reach to potential. People get stuck and then they want you to stick and stay with stuck. And that was the thing with Lawrence and Issa. It was such a battle throughout the seasons of Insecure between men and women on social media. Because,
we're going to get into that.
it just was such a battle. But the thing is like, you can't fault either one of them for where they were. And you can't fault either one of them for where they wanted to be. And you can't fault a person for saying, I've had enough of this. And then you also can't fault a person for saying, stick with me through this. You know, it's like, what do you do? No, it's no right or wrong to me. But potential is hard. It's just a hard thing to stick with. And it's a hard thing for somebody to go through, but it's harder to stick with it. I'm gonna be honest with you. You know, even the person that's going through the potential, when the person that has to support the potential,
Right.
especially like you said, I'm getting up, I'm going to work every day, I'm coming home, and your potential ass is sitting on the couch. No. You know, my mother always said you need to get up and do something, cut grass,
Mhm.
cut grass, sell drugs. I don't know.
Not sell drugs.
Not sell drugs, you know, be legal. But my point is bring money into the home, sweetie. That's all.
Right, right.
Be able to take care of at least you. You understand?
Mhm.
So
Did you ever feel like Issa would, because I don't think, and you make a great point about potential, because sometimes people reach that potential at different points in time, and maybe they don't reach the potential that you think they should be at that particular time when you need them to be at that potential in that particular place. Do you think Issa ever felt like she like let him go too soon or gave up on the potential of what Lawrence could be? Because yeah, we did see Lawrence glow up, but it took him a minute to get there.
yeah, she definitely felt a type of way. And I think that she definitely regretted at some point letting him go when she did. I mean, we saw that even through the seasons that
Mhm.
she had a regret for letting him go because, like, so I knew I was going to be on the show. And, you know, like I said, Mama, I made it. So I had to make sure
Right.
that I was well prepared for this. So I went back and watched the first season because,
Mhm.
you know, you forget little things. She even said throughout that first season, like, oh, I'm thinking about breaking up with him. And then
Mhm.
she had regrets about it, like, well, maybe I should just stick and stay. That was before Daniel came into her life and just, you know, had her mind all going another way.
Mhm.
However, she did regret leaving Lawrence the way she did. And let's be clear, Issa wasn't at her potential at that point either.
Facts.
Like Issa was at a rough point in her life too. But I think Issa was kind of on the road of like, we both can't be struggling. And we both can't be struggling, and you are not doing anything. At
Right.
least I'm struggling getting a check. You know what I mean? You
Mhm.
struggling on the couch. Now we can't both be struggling and you're not doing anything. So I think she had just got to her breaking point. You
Mhm.
know, she got to her breaking point. And I'm not gonna say that it was a little too fast because he had been sitting on that couch for a year now.
Well, yeah, right. It
Come
had
on
been a
now.
while.
Come on now.
Did you have any favorite episodes or scenes? Any that jump out at you? Because for me, I've got probably three episodes. I won't say scenes, three episodes that like just like were crazy to me. Well, I'm not gonna say crazy. I'll explain them. The first one was, I want to say, damn, what season was that? I can't remember what season it was. Oh, I want to say it was season 3, the Coachella episode.
Okay.
Hilarious,
Yes.
hilarious. I
Mhm.
couldn't stop laughing at Kelly. I mean, like that whole episode was just bananas to me. And it just, a lot of times I would see Issa and her friends, and it
Mhm.
reminded me, just the banter and going back and forth would remind me of me and my friends. And
Mhm.
so that's why I say, like, a lot of times, uh, Insecure didn't feel like a woman show. It never felt like a woman show to me, because I think the love and the relationships and the friendships that she cultivated, you know, they really weren't defined by gender. It just so happened that that's what we were looking at, but
Mhm.
it was very relatable. A lot of the content was relatable, but that Coachella episode was funny to me because that just looked
Mhm.
like some shit me and my friends would do.
Right.
The second one was season 4. I want to say it was episode, I can't remember. You don't have to give the episodes. I want to say it was episode 8.
Mhm.
It was when Lawrence and Issa went back. They went out to dinner.
Mhm.
I love that episode because that episode, if you ever get a chance, go back and watch the episode. That episode was shot perfectly.
Perfectly.
Oh my
Mhm.
gosh, the
Yes, it
color
was.
contrast, everything. And I mean, like, they were walking through the little things, telling their little corny jokes. It
Mhm.
was like their reconnection. And because I really like Lawrence. I was team Lawrence.
Yeah.
I can't front. I was team Lawrence. So I really like that part of it, and just how that was shot, and the banter between the two of them. And it was after that episode, I was like, we probably all like, yeah, they're going to get back together. And,
Yes.
of course, we'll talk about what happened. And then the last one I want to say was season 5, episode 7, I think. It was the episode where Issa and the girls basically stayed in Issa's apartment all night.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They had the girls' night.
Had the girls' night. That one was so real, Maya. I know you could relate, but for me, it again, if it didn't feel like just these women, like every line that they were saying to each other, every scene reminded me of scenes that I had with me and my boys.
Yep.
And like, you know, they had these plans to go out to dinner, and they started pre-gaming and getting drinking and smoking weed in the house. And then the plans get canceled. And then, you know, Tiffany drops this bomb on them saying that she's, you know, she has to move. And everybody was just like, you know, after they finished crying and everything, it was like, well, we can just stay. Because if they had left, that would have killed the mood. You know, so it made more sense for them just to be in that moment together. Right. I think that episode said a lot about Issa and her friends and just the love and the caring that they have for each other. So, but those are probably 3 of my favorite scenes / episodes. What about you?
Those was good. I would say all of those, but I think the first episode with the when Issa got up there and she did the rap broken
pussy.
Why
you can say
it. That episode, because I just watched it, I forgot how funny
it was. Funny as hell.
And one thing that I noticed about the very first episode was and this is the progression of the show as well. If you've ever watched Awkward Black Girl, the first episode is 100%. So the first season is like Awkward Black Girl.
Okay.
If you ever get a chance, go back.
I'm going to go back and watch it because I've never seen it before.
It is true to Awkward Black Girl, right? So when you see the first episode, it was just funny to me because I had already seen the show and how she was in the show, and it also introduced the mirror. You know, the mirror Issa,
yes.
which is classic, right?
Classic.
Her talking to herself in the mirror, and I can relate to that a lot because I'm in this house a lot talking to myself and answering myself too, and have no problem with it. You know what I mean? That the Coachella episode, of course. How could you not like that? I really liked, even though I'm a woman, and I was like, damn, I really like that last episode of the first season when Lawrence left that Best Buy shirt in there. I was like, honey, and that's how you clear a bitch right there. Even though I'm a woman, and I was like, damn, that was messed up. But I mean, hey. And then I like the last, I don't know, it wasn't the last episode of the last season, but the episode when Lawrence was like, are you happy? Because I was like, Lawrence, fight for your woman. I know that's right. And I just could not stand Nathan so much.
Really?
I did not like Nathan. He was like a weak man to me.
Wow.
And I understand, you know, the bipolar and all of that. But outside of that, and maybe that had a lot to do with it, he was a very weak man to me. And I do not like weak men at all. And so Lawrence, when he was like, are you happy? And then he turned around and he told Nathan, like, this don't concern you. You know, this between me and my woman. I was like, and I know that's right, Lawrence, get your back.
Right.
So, yeah, those episodes really stood out to me. And I can't even believe that I would say that last episode of the first season when he left that Best Buy shirt on was one of my. That was
classic.
But it was.
That was classic.
I mean, it was what it was. Like, I ain't gonna be at Best Buy forever. Now check that.
Not at all. Not at all. I mean, because he got up off the couch and got him a job at Best Buy. One of the reasons why this show was, you know, so popular was, you know, its influence on Black culture, particularly social media. We were used to what a lot of people would call a civil war on Sunday nights at 10 p.m. especially on Twitter. Like you mentioned a little earlier, women versus men. Do you recall a scene or something happening that created a battle on social media from this show?
Well, yeah, that last episode, of course, you know.
Yeah.
I think that first season set the tone of what we were going to see for the next 5 years on social media. It really, because the woman could relate to Issa, of course, like get up off the couch.
Yeah.
The dudes was like, yo, give him a chance, you know, this, that, and the third.
Yes.
But it was like, oh, you the provider. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Even though we live in a different time where we both got to get out there and get it. Just because of where we are in the world is so expensive, right? You don't
Right.
have much of the family like where you staying home and I'm going out to work. But it's like you're the provider. You're the
Mhm.
protector.
Yep.
You are the leader. You ain't leading me into nothingness.
Not on
You
the
know what I mean?
couch.
So of course that sparked the biggest thing. And then in the end, it was a battle because it was like, all right, are you team Lawrence or team
Mhm.
Issa? Because it seemed like at the end, it seemed like, damn, Lawrence did Issa so wrong.
Mhm.
But no, he really didn't.
Right.
Even as a woman, it's like you want to be like, F that, blah, blah, blah. No, she cheated first.
Yep.
And here's the thing about Issa that was this was the man woman, you know, thing of it all. She cheated and then she had the dude around him. That
Right.
was the biggest thing for me. And that was why I was like, nah, no. Because, you do whatever you do. I'm not promoting cheating or anything. But you do whatever you do. You don't flaunt your man around
Mhm.
this man that you didn't cheated with. Now you got this person who you love in a room with somebody else, and now that person has one up on your love, and they in the
Mhm.
dark. It just was foul. It was nasty. It just was all of that. So of course that sparked the volcano of
Yes.
men versus woman. And I was very shocked that I wasn't shocked because a lot of women are delusional in a lot of ways. I love you. But I wasn't shocked that women were like, no, come on,
Mhm.
So that first season was the biggest thing that sparked the social media, and then it just went downhill from there. It just went downhill.
So okay, so refresh me. So the first season did it end with or did it start was season 2 started with Lawrence and Tasha? Was that season 1 or season?
That was season 2, started with Lawrence and Tasha.
Okay.
Mhm.
The sex scene with Lawrence and Tasha set off
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
Because like it's one thing to know that Lawrence, because women had gotten used to seeing him over these episodes. And keep in mind, for those who don't know, Insecure was the first 3 seasons were only 8 episodes.
Yeah.
And so then I think they moved to 10 episodes for seasons 3, 4, and 5.
Mhm.
So we got a lot in these are 30-minute episodes. So it's not like
episodes.
yeah. So it's not like we got a whole bunch of, relatively speaking, we got a lot of information in a really short, compact period of time.
Mhm.
But yeah, that scene, because I think what happened was people had assumed that, Lawrence probably was going to hit, but then when they actually saw, I remember just being, because the first probably 2 seasons I would be on Twitter watching Insecure, tweeting back and forth. And then I realized I'm like, but I would have to watch the episodes like 2 or 3 times because I miss so much. You always miss something. You miss a conversation or whatever. But Twitter used to be on fire. And I just remember that night when Lawrence, when that sex scene happened, man, it was like it was the trend, and not only just a trending topic, like people talked about that episode for like a
forever.
week. It was like, and the women
talk about. Let me.
Well, yeah, it was. What it was like, I think part of it was that people understand. The women, like they couldn't, like, I guess in a way you put yourself in Issa's shoes. Like, okay, this is my ex-man. Oh my gosh, I can't believe he's doing her like this. He's cheating on her, and he really wasn't.
He was not cheating on her. They were broke up. But I think the more thing was let's really be clear. It wasn't about him cheating on her. It was about the way that he was hitting Tasha. And it was like, I've been complaining about us having stale sex.
Right.
On this couch. Now you with this girl and you doing all of this stuff. Because remember, Issa was like, oh, sometimes I wish he would just tell me to shut up. And I wish he would just grab me and he would do this, that, and third. And so now it's like, oh, that's what you're doing? So the women were riled up for that.
Oh, yeah. They were mad. and another scene, ironically, another sex scene, the scene with her and Daniel,
Which was boring.
which yeah,
It was boring.
I got Daniel. I understood him. I really wasn't out on Daniel. I know a lot of people. Some people were in. Some people were out on Daniel. I wasn't out. I thought Daniel was. I understood why the character was who he was. I thought he was a little weird. The fact that they had that relationship or whatever you want to call it, and then he let her come stay with her. I was like, come to stay with me,
right?
But the sex scene where is oral sex, and he came in her face. Maya, let me tell you something. When I say the women on Twitter wasn't having that, man, boy, look at here. It was damn. I mean, like they were. This was what was funny, Maya. This was a think piece. Like there were people writing articles about it. There were people doing podcasts,
degrading her, and
all that like I can't believe that we're showing this kind of stuff on TV. I'm like, y'all didn't watch Sex in the City. Y'all ain't. I mean, like. This is
TV.
It's TV. It's TV.
You don't watch TV because sex scenes happen in TV.
Yep.
And what happened between them is not taboo. It's not a taboo thing. I mean, it obviously happens.
Yes. And to be honest, it probably happened to quite a few of my followers because
they was mad.
They was mad. It was like, oh hell no, I would do that. I'm like, word, it's like that. I'm like, man, it's TV, man. It's TV. So it was, but even in that happening, it was still funny. There were parts of that episode that was funny, and
funny.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, those are two instances I remember that just like set everything off. Like, and you're right. The fight, if you will, that Nathan and Lawrence had. Because at that point people were team Lawrence or team Nathan, you know what I'm saying? So it was a lot of people who didn't want to see Nathan with Issa. A lot of people didn't want to see Lawrence with Issa. So
which I never understood. I just never understood the don't want to see Lawrence with her. He did nothing wrong. Like he literally did nothing wrong. Even with him being a quote unquote bum, that wasn't wrong. It just was where the boy was.
Well, you know what it was? I think too, the audience got to see Lawrence and his, sexual exploit. Because I remember Lawrence had the two women, two white women at the crib. Yeah. And, like he was violent, but he was, if we're being honest, he was doing something that a 28, 29-year-old man would do. Now, I didn't do it because I was single. I mean, I was married. So,
or doing what people do when they get out of relationships.
Yeah, trying to figure it out.
Trying to, get over the heartbreak and trying to like, oh, now I'm back out here. I'm trying to show myself that I still got it, because that's what it boils down to. Like, you did me wrong. Now I'm trying to show myself that I still got it. You know what I mean? Because Lawrence, he had a lot of insecure moments in the show.
He did. And, and talking to people like Chad didn't help, because they kind of fed into the insecurity or made him question it. One of the other things that was, I mentioned a little earlier, was very popular. A huge part of this show was the music. We saw and heard a lot of music from a lot of different artists. Some were unknown, some were very popular. Were there any artists whose music you found or were introduced to that you kind of got hooked on during the 5-year run of this show?
I can't tell you their names, but what I will say is this. One thing Insecure did, I do not like hardly any music of today.
Okay.
Hardly any. It's not a lot of song. And I will say I don't give a lot of things a chance either.
Same.
It's like when I hear that first little, because they all sound the same. When I hear them voices or I hear that tempo and I hear that, way that they sing, like they sound like they high and sitting around, can't sing, can't, you know what I mean? Even the rap, it's just, because I like boom bap rap.
Right. Old school.
So it's not like I give it a chance, but I will say that what Insecure did for me was open me up to the idea of liking the new music, because I listened to a lot of, so I would go, of course, she would have playlists on Spotify, and I would go on those playlists, and I started putting some of those songs into my rotation, it just gave me a different outlook on the music. So I guess because it was in the show, you think about the scene that it was in, and
Yep.
it's like, oh, that sounds good. Then it gives you a chance to go back and listen to it. So it opened me up to that as far as giving new music a chance. But I don't know. I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know the artist to
I
say,
feel
yeah,
you.
I really liked Tone Smith, because I don't know who it is. But yeah, it did give me a chance to start liking some of the new music.
Mhm. Yeah, I wouldn't. I'm kind of like you. I can't say that I was up on a Ty Dolla $ign before Insecure.
Oh, really?
But his music was featured throughout, the series. So I started listening. I was like, okay, this ain't bad, because I'm like you. It's very a lot of the new music. I don't give it a chance because like a lot of it in my eyes, on my ears, it just sounds the same, So
Mhm.
I don't really view it any differently. But like one artist, I think that really I jumped once I heard her song. I just jumped in her discography was Alex Isley. Super super dope. She's underrated. She actually, if you remember the Block Party episode, she actually performed at the Block Party.
Okay.
I'm trying to think. It was a couple other artists, Cleo Soul. I'm like you. I would go to the Spotify playlist and I would just pick songs like, okay, I remember this. And then, like you said, you kind of correlated with the scenes and stuff like that.
Mhm.
But I thought the music that they used in the music director was Raphael Sadiq
Raphael
from
Sadiq. Mhm.
Tony. Incredible. And I like the fact that she broke a lot of artists. She meaning Issa Rae broke a lot of artists in on Insecure by featuring their music. So if you're listening to this, if you haven't heard that playlist, go to Spotify and just type in Insecure playlist. It might be a couple of days worth of music to listen to,
Mhm.
because you were talking about, they only playing snippets in the episodes, but the whole songs are there. So you should definitely check those out, particularly if you're into new music. Me and Maya, we good on it, but we did pick up some songs and I did find a couple of artists that I kind of rock with.
Mhm.
What were your now we mentioned Molly a little earlier. Very intriguing character in the show.
Mhm.
What were your thoughts on Molly and how did they change? Because I know you said she kind of pissed you off. How did your thoughts change, or did they change over Molly over the period of the 5 years?
No. Well, they did the last season.
Okay.
The last season, she became likable. I don't think that Molly was likable from episode 1. I don't. I I thought that, and it's funny because I said that I seen some of myself in Molly, right?
Mhm.
Just little things, but no, I don't think Molly was. I didn't like her. I
Mhm.
did not like her, and I would be hard pressed to find somebody that did like her. Now I don't know if you liked her, but most of the people who I know didn't like her because Molly, she was very selfish to me.
Mhm.
I don't think she was selfish. No, selfish is the wrong word. She was self-centered.
Mhm. Yes.
So, and it's a difference, right? She was self-centered in the sense of like, I think she was giving to Issa. Like she was giving to Issa, but she was also one of them type of people that I'm gonna give you, but then I'm gonna throw it up in your face. So,
Mhm.
like, if you're going to do something for me, just do it, right? If you're going to
Right.
give me advice, just give it. If you're going to give me money, a ride, a place to stay, or whatever, but don't throw it up in my face afterwards, like, oh, yeah, and I had to do this, that, and the third for you. Oh, okay, girl, you in a better position than me. So you did some things for me, but let's be clear, I was there to pick you up off the ground as
Right.
well. So I thought that Molly was very self-centered. But at the end, it was good to see her progression. I was mad that they made me like her, and now the show is never going to be on again, right? It was very nice to see Molly. While it wasn't good with her going through what she went through with her family,
Mhm.
and I can relate to that so much. It was good to see her as, oh, you are a real person, right?
Mhm.
You do have feelings. It reminded me a lot of. Do you remember on Rocky 4
Oh
when
shit.
when I love Rocky, but on Rocky 4, when he was fighting the Russian,
Yeah.
and he cut him for the first time when
Yep,
Rocky
yep,
hit him, and he cut
yep.
him, and he was and he went back to his corner, and my man was like, he's not a machine,
Not a machine.
man.
He's a man. He's
You know,
not a machine.
so that scene, that particularly came into my mind when thinking of Molly at the end, when she showcased like, oh, you are a human being. You're not like just this robot of a person, when she was going through what she was going through with her family. And I think Molly, you know, even though I didn't like her, I think she was scared to be vulnerable, right?
Yes.
She was just scared to let her walls down. She built up a shell of who she was, and it was hard because even through that situation with her parents trying to get them life insurance, and then the situation with her mom, it was like, and I know that well, you get into that like, let me just take care of it role, and you don't give yourself chance to be human, right? And show your feelings and stuff like that. So that is what I liked about her character, that they, you know, showed this is who you are. And all I kept thinking was, damn, I wish they would have showed me this early, because like I did not like this girl for 4 seasons and half of the 5th. I think she turned the corner when her parents got sick, and then when she started dating the man that she ultimately married.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't. I haven't forgot his name.
But
when she started kind of like letting her walls down with him a little bit. So that's what I thought of Molly.
Torian, that's his name.
Torian. Yeah, Molly could get on your damn nerves. But at the end, look. You know, it was like you could applaud her at the end, and that's what the show was all about, right?
Oh, no doubt. And I think for me, I want to say I didn't dislike Molly. I disliked some of her ways, and it wasn't until season 3. No, not season 3. Season 4. Like I kept the thing I kept saying about Molly is like she can't get right. So her name was Molly Can't Get Right Carter. That's what I called her, because like she was, like you said, she was scared to be vulnerable. Then she ends up, you know, getting into this relationship with her childhood friend who is married, and now they have an affair, or
it wasn't an affair because he was in an open relationship.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Dro was in a. So he said, was Dro really in an open relationship, or was? Because
he was, when his wife came around, his wife came around, and he was kind of side eyeing the situation, because her and Molly was talking about it like, oh, you know, we're seeing each other, and the wife was kind of side eyeing Molly like, I don't know. So I think they was in an open relationship with stipulations. Like you can be in an open relationship with a chick I don't know, but you ain't gonna be in an open relationship with somebody that we both grew up with.
Exactly. So that was weird, and I mean, like, but it was relatable because you knew people like that. I don't know nobody like that was that far off, but you know, people that went through stuff in marriages, and I know one person that had an open marriage, and she told me that, like, you know, like they're not together anymore, but at the time, her and her husband, you know, just what they did or whatever like that. So I was kind of replaying those stories and then kind of correlating them with Molly. But Molly, again, she just couldn't get right. She had on paper, she had the career, she had, you know, the college degree, she had, you know, a good job, and, you know, had her life in order on paper, if you will. Decent, you know, pretty good family, loving family. I would laugh at the scenes, you know, like when she would come around her family and they would always ask her questions about, you know, is she going to settle down? Is she going to have kids? And I'm sure you can relate to that, Maya. Like that is probably one of the most annoying thing that you can ask somebody who's single.
Yes.
So, you know, but it was relatable because you knew people like that, or people who experienced those things. And then, you know, obviously everything comes to a boil in, you know, at the block party, and, you know, and then we see them, you know, kind of fall out. And then that coincides with, you know, Molly having a man, and she has a man, and then Issa don't have a man. So you know, Maya, you know, sometimes, you know, women, well, I won't say women, because men do this too. Who am I kidding? your friend gets a significant other, and then the friendship starts to change for the worse. And you know, I don't. Sometimes it's just natural. Sometimes it's because, you know, people start tripping. Well, Molly clearly was tripping, and you know, she got into it. Andrew's brother. I mean, like, she was just getting into it with everybody. But that scene at the block party when she and Issa are going back and forth, she said everything that she felt about Issa all those years.
Exactly.
And
you're looking at me as the downtrodden friend. And that was another thing that I didn't like about Molly. She was okay with Issa when Issa was down,
right?
Because then I make myself look bigger because I have it all together as far as like you said, on paper. But you and Issa was in the same boat. Y'all was friends for a reason, because you was both a damn mess.
Yes. And so, but then I think, like, I want to say probably somewhere between the fight that they had and subsequently after that, and how they tried to patch things up, it dawned on me, like, this show isn't about, it's about Issa, but it's really about Issa and Molly. And it's about their friendship. Because again, when I started watching this, I had no concept of anything of what it is. And we all got into, you know, Lawrence and these women and Issa and Lawrence and they're back and forth. And on paper, it looked like, on the surface, it looked like it was about Issa and Lawrence, which it was. But the deeper story was really about Issa and Molly and their friendship. And then, you know, like you said, when they come into season 5, everything that Molly didn't do for Issa in season 4, she did in season 5, when she felt like she had to, because remember, things would happen and Molly be like, do you, girl? You know, like, is this to say, hey, I when I stepped in before and said something, because remember how she went off on her when Nathan came and surprised her, and Molly called herself
weird to me. That was so weird to me.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, you can't. Why are you mad at me because of what this man is doing? You know, you're looking at me like I am like, okay, he brought me flowers. Thank you. You know, okay, I felt the way about it. Like, I'm a human and I'm a woman just like you are. And let's be clear, if one of them men from Molly's past would have came and surprised her, she would have been over the damn moon, because her life revolved around trying to find a damn man.
So yeah, that part was funny to me. And I realized, like I said, it was more, the show was really about their friendship. And then in season 5, you saw, like, from their time that they spent at Stanford when they got jacked, like, you saw their relationship kind of turning. And I remember Kelly asking, she was like, you know, how long is it going to be before we okay? She said, well, first you got to be fake okay. And then it takes a while after being fake okay. And we go through that sometimes with our friends. You know, I haven't had anybody in my circle that I've kind of detached myself with. I'm still close with the same people I've been all these years, but I know that people have those kind of relationships and you fall out. And sometimes you mend it, sometimes you don't. You know, and you know, especially as we get older, we kind of set in our ways, like, you know, I ain't about to kiss your ass to be your friend. You know, we've been friends since we couldn't spell, and now all of a sudden you bugging. Okay, go ahead. You know, so just seeing that, and then her growth as far as their friendship over season 5, you know, like you said, dealing with her parents, and then she just, you know, even the episode I mentioned earlier, episode 7, I think, in season 5, where, you know, they were feeling themselves in an apartment or whatever like that. And Issa goes to call Lawrence and she's like, no, she hung up the phone. She's like, no, don't call him. She was like, look, if you feel sober in the morning, you feel like making this phone call.
Then you call.
Then you call. But that's not something that Molly would have done, you know, in seasons 2 or 3
at all.
So, or 4 for that matter.
Right.
But it seemed like it took her losing Andrew to kind of come around, and Issa, you know, losing Lawrence, if you will, and we'll touch on Lawrence in just a second, you know, just to bring everything full circle for them. So I love that part about it. Now, speaking of Issa and Lawrence, it sounds like we were both team Lawrence.
We are.
Okay. So Issa and Lawrence, their relationship was interesting to say the least. They had, as they described it, a romantic path that was chaotic, littered with hurdles and dips and twists. And through it all, they stayed on each other's minds. Insecure obviously was one of the messiest stories that we've probably seen in recent times, but maybe that's why it was the best, because it was about Issa's journey and her self-discovery. But she had this relationship, and Lawrence was this guy, and women say he's a good-looking guy. I guess he's good-looking. I don't know.
He is.
He would laugh at her corny jokes. She'd laugh at his corny jokes. They seemed to emotionally connect to each other. They both shared songs and they shared experiences and things of that nature. They grew to love each other, and then they grew apart. And then they, found a way to make it happen. So in saying all of that, given the situation with Condola, so if you're not familiar, at the end of season 4, they leave us on the biggest cliff of cliffhangers. Lawrence comes into the apartment after, he and Issa are reconnecting, and she's happy to see him, and he has this look on his face. And I remember how that was shot, Maya. That was shot so perfectly because they're going back and forth and they're interjecting Condola's responses.
You're good?
Condola came over last night. She needed to talk.
Okay, about what?
I'm pregnant.
What? Yo, but I thought we were careful.
Me too.
Are you sure it's mine?
Yes.
But
When did this happen?
it was before me and you, and before I found out about the job.
So what does this mean? Is she gonna keep it?
Yes. I'm keeping it.
Why? Why this is not a good time. We're not even together. Why would you want this?
This is not ideal for me either. But that's just not an option for me.
I wasn't ready with Mark. But this time I want to keep it. And it's not like I don't want kids. I do.
Fuck. This is just
A lot.
I know. Okay, and we're still processing everything. I just had to tell you.
So this means you're getting back with her?
No, I told you I want to be with you.
But you're having a baby with someone else.
But I didn't plan this, Issa. I don't want this to happen.
And Lawrence is telling her that, Condola's pregnant. And they had just started, so he is back with Issa, or at least trying to get back with Issa, and now Condola's pregnant. And, so Issa's blown. So she's like, what does this mean? And then she's like, is she going to keep it? She's like, yes, I'm going to keep it. And so anyway, I said all that to say this. And this is one of the reasons why I have you on here, because you can only answer this. I can't answer this question. Given that situation with Condola, if you were Issa, Maya, would you have taken Lawrence back, or would you have stayed with Nathan at that particular time when you found out that he got a crumb snatch on the way?
I would have stayed with Lawrence.
Okay.
Because people were acting like, and again, it goes back to season 1. They were acting like Lawrence did Issa wrong, like he cheated on her. And it was the same thing with this. They were acting like, oh, he had a baby on her. No, he did not have a baby on this girl.
Mm-hmm.
He had a baby. They were
Right.
not together. He was dating someone else. He was in a full-fledged relationship with somebody else. She was in a full-fledged relationship with Nathan. They realized, you know what? We really do love each other. So because it wasn't like he had a baby on her, because people was like, oh, he had a break baby. He didn't have a break baby. Like, a break baby is, we are together.
Right.
We allegedly took a break for a day, and now you got somebody else pregnant. That's what a break baby is. A break baby is not, I was dating somebody else, you was dating somebody else, we came back together, and now I got a baby. I would have stayed with Lawrence.
Okay.
And I probably would have stayed with him because I just did not like Nathan that much. I did not like him that much that I would have just stayed with Lawrence anyway. Not with a break baby. No. But with the situation that he had, I did not see the problem in staying with him. Now, it's a caveat to that.
Okay.
Because can you be a stepmom? You know,
right.
You now have to think about so much, right? Lawrence it's a whole different ball game now. You have somebody else coming into the picture that's more important than you. This baby is going to take precedent over you. Can you deal with that? You have to play all of the scenarios out, right? Now your money is different. Now your time is going to be different. Now your energy is going to be different. You have to also take into consideration that he has to do certain things with condolas.
Yep.
So, and that's just realistic. So you have to know what kind of person you are. Can you deal with that? You know what I mean? So you might not have stayed with him like throughout, but in the initial, I would have been like, man, okay, well, let's see what happens now. And then it might have been like a breakup because you can't deal with all of that comes with it because there's so much that comes with it. But yeah, I want to say in the beginning.
That is a great. I was interested to hear your answer. That is a great answer. Because there was, again, Twitter was on fire. I wasn't there for the live fire on Twitter, but I checked Twitter the next day and it was crazy. I felt Lawrence. Now, not knock wood. I've never been in that situation before where a woman's coming to you and telling you you're pregnant, but I have friends, close friends, and they've been in that situation. And that's a tough situation to be in because you're having a baby with somebody that you absolutely don't care about. They had clearly gone their separate ways. And Lawrence, he was on this path. He'd gotten this new job and he was talking about moving to San Francisco. And now all of a sudden, and I think that's one of the things that we were talking about earlier about the show being so realistic, is that's reality. Like life it's never planned. It's never going according to script. Just when you think things are going according to script, a boulder comes out of nowhere. Yeah. And that happens. It happens. And it happens to all of us. Maybe not at that particular level, but it happens. So I felt for Lauren. Man, I was hurtful. I was like, damn, man, you got her pregnant. I felt like Chad.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it's like, really, it was like, damn, y'all finally,
right?
Like that relationship you rooting for, and it's just never good timing. Just in general, even with your own situation, it's like, damn, I love you, I like you, but it's just the timing is just bad. It could be a number of things, and then it's like, all right, we finally got it together. Yep. We finally here, and then it's like another hurdle that we have to now go, and then
a permanent hurdle.
Is love enough to take you through that hurdle? You know what I'm saying? Like, no, it's not always enough.
That is so true. That is so true. It resonated with me and everybody else, just being in that situation. And I think I understood, and I think we all understood, because I think the last thing she said in that episode was she was like, this is a lot. And that's all she said. And if a black woman said this is a lot,
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
We go through
it. So, and then, she ends up, we see them, the first scene of episode 5. I mean, the 5th season, first episode, we see them, in essence, breaking up because he picked her up from the airport. And she was just like, I can't do this. And that was it. And so we thought, we knew that wouldn't be the end of Lawrence, but we thought as far as that would be the end of them as a couple. And so they went through a lot, and obviously that brings me to the series and season finale episode where, and I'm not spoiling for anybody because this if you ain't seen the episode, then you need to watch it. Right. Everything kind of comes together. Molly gets married, Lawrence and Issa reconcile, and they eventually get engaged. And Yeah, they did.
I don't even remember that. I know they was together, but I didn't know they got engaged.
Well, here's what throws it. If one of the last scenes you see an engagement ring on her ring finger.
Okay.
And it's something I think I didn't catch it the first time I saw it, but in the last scene of the episode, she's on the phone with Molly and she's in the bathroom talking, because she was supposed to be, we thought she was gonna be talking to what they call a Mirror Bitch, but Mirror Bitch isn't there. And finally, in this particular this series, there's no talking back and forth, and she holds the phone up and you can see the engagement ring.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I want to say she had it when they were at the table when
Lawrence came to bring her to drink.
When Elijah came in at the end. That last scene, when she was with the baby. Well, young little boy, if you will. So they get engaged. Okay. So what were your thoughts on how the series ended? Because I think, a lot of people were very, very pleased. I didn't really see a lot of people that weren't pleased. For me, and I'll touch on it. I think for me, like, I wasn't sure how, after seeing episode 9, how they were going to make it all come together. What did you think about how it actually ended?
Well, let me just say, the last season, up until the end, I wasn't pleased. I wasn't.
Really?
Like, this is the last episode gave you the aha moment. The last episode gave you the, oh, okay, now I see, right? I think that it was rushed, though. I will say that. I feel like it was like a lot going on in the last season of the story, that it was like, then you're going to just give me this, and now this person is married, Kelly got a baby, Tiffany and old boy is, it was just like, I read a lot. It reminded me of like a lot of books. It's like, you give me 300 pages of character development, and then at the end, it's like, she's dead. It's like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Right.
But I did like the last episode because, again, it gave you that aha moment. It said, oh, okay. And what I never really paid attention to, I guess throughout the season, throughout the seasons, I didn't pay attention to the name, right? Insecure, and what these people were insecure about. Yep. And then at the end, it said, oh, this is what these people were insecure about. And now those insecurities have come full circle. Yep. So I like that part of it. I will say, even though I was happy that Molly got married, I was happy that Kelly found her person, right?
Yes. Like after she broke up with Daniel Kaluuya.
Right. It was like, okay, all right, now I found my person. And Tiffany, we didn't pay too much attention to her at the end. I wasn't really that as excited about Lawrence and Issa as I thought I would be.
Really?
I wasn't. Okay. And I wanted them to be together, but I just thought the end was just like so blasé, if I should say. It was just like, oh, okay, so now y'all got this perfect life with this baby, and you the stepmom of the year, and it's like, oh,
stepmommy dearest.
You know what I mean? It was just like, I don't know. I wanted like something grander. When he like was like, are you happy? And then he was like fighting for her. I was like excited, like, ooh. And
you want him to get punched out.
Now we engaged and we got this baby. I'm a stepmom. And here we are. I don't know. It's just like, dun, dun, dun. It just didn't give me like, I don't know. It just didn't give me excitement. But it was pleasing to see that Issa found her stride. That she found like who she really was meant to be. You know what I mean? That was very pleasing to see because she was so all over the place. Yes. And her insecurity was just so pronounced throughout the show that at the end, for her to not have Mirror Bitch really just be confident in who she was. And to me, you know, we talked about this on your show, as far as men are concerned, confidence is everything. But as far as people are concerned, because for me, women too, confidence is everything. And confidence in who you are, and whose you are, it makes a difference in your life. So I was happy to see that for her, you know. And so all of it all came full circle, and it was nice to see at the end.
I totally understand where you're coming from, because a lot of people said that on social media. I read a couple of think pieces about it. I read a really good one, because she did an interview with she meaning Issa did an interview with the LA Times, and she said that there were alternate endings.
Okay.
So there were a couple of different endings. There was one ending where she would end up with Nathan, actually.
I would have thrown something at my screen if she would have ended up with his weak ass.
I'm actually the opposite of you, Maya. I loved it.
Okay.
I'll say this though, my expectations, I want to say my expectations were relatively low, because I remember I was listening to a podcast. I can't remember whose podcast it was, but they had Jay Ellis on it, who plays Lawrence. And he said, it was a sports podcast, and he said something to the effect of, he said, well, I can't really get into it. He said, but episode 9, things get really explosive. So I knew that going in. So I didn't know what was going to happen, we were probably at like episode 3 when he said that on that particular podcast. And that stuck with me. I was like, okay, episode 9. So when that happened and that blew up and everything like that, I'm like, at the end of that episode, we see Issa go home. She's crying, whatever like that. Molly comes to her house the next day, opening up episode 10, which is the final episode. And I'm thinking to myself, like, I don't know. And instead of 30 minutes, I think this particular episode was like 45 minutes.
Yeah, it was.
So I'm like, okay, how are you going to land this plane? You know, because it's either going to be a bumpy flight, or you're going to crash it, or you're going to land it perfectly. So my expectations were relatively low, because I didn't know how they were going to land the plane. And I thought the thing that I would like to have seen changed was Kelly. Kelly's part felt kind of rushed, because it was like, hey, here's Kelly. Hey, she got a man. Hey, she's pregnant. I'm like, but damn. And I would, because that's one of my favorite characters. So I would like to see more of, I would have liked to, actually all the way through season 5, I would have liked to see more of Kelly, because, you know, she went through that episode where the first episode
that she was dead.
She was
and
dead.
And you thought that they were going to, I thought that they were like finally going to give her her character like a storyline more than what she had. Because
right, more than what she had.
Tiffany, even they gave her a storyline when she was like going through postpartum and all like that.
Which was
and
good.
Kelly, we never really got to see kind of like who she was. She
Right.
was just the comic relief.
Right.
It wasn't like we knew her like life, right?
Right.
Her family, they didn't touch on any of that.
And we had to kind of put 2 and 2 together, because, you know, Kelly at one point was working, and, you know, she said she was tired of working for white people and making them rich. And then, you know, then in another episode, Molly mentioned something about her coming to the firm, and that they had this this estate division that she wanted, because she helped Molly with her estate and got close to her parents. And so I would have liked to have seen the development more as far as her storyline, especially at the end. But I like what they did with the birthdays. I'll admit I've watched that episode 3 times, because the first time that I saw it, I was like, okay, is this what I think it is? And then because as they were fast forwarding through it, the first time I saw it, it took me about halfway through the episode for me to realize, like, oh, they're going through the birthdays, and but it wasn't like it was several years. So instead of something popping up on the screen saying 5 years later, that's what it was. So, and even in the birthdays, I realized that, you know, if you go back and watch that episode, not everybody was at each other's birthday celebration. Like like Kelly had a birthday and Molly wasn't there. And you know, Maya, that happens. We were, you know, talking online, you know, before we got on here about, you know, your recent birthday, and, you know, how you were surprised by family members coming to see you, but everybody who wanted to come probably couldn't come.
Yeah.
And that happens, especially when you get life involved and you have family and kids and relationship and all this other stuff. So I said all that to say this. I thought it was perfect how they ended it, given the time constraints they had. I think when I go back and look at some of the episodes from season 5, what they did was they had pieces, and I think they were kind of putting all of the pieces together. And like you said, there was a point in season 5 where I was like, okay, I see what they're doing, but I still didn't know how it was all going to come together. And I think that last episode, they put all the pieces together and it kind of made sense to me. I was happy for Molly. I was happy for Issa and Lawrence. And I think that was the best way they could go out. I think, I think we all would have liked to have seen, and Issa said she always wanted to do 5 seasons. I think we could have used,
one
another
more season.
Another season. We could have used a spinoff with Kelly and I mean, it could have been so, but I understand too that it takes a lot for them to do all of this stuff. And then these, actors and actresses, they have other projects and stuff that they're working on. Issa has plenty of stuff that she's working on as well. So I get it. And every good thing has to come to an end. And I think they would probably wanted to go out on top as opposed to, being stale or whatever like that. But I thought the ending was perfect. She said something, and I'll read it to you, that really resonated with. She said, she said, quote, "I keep thinking about all it took to get here, doubting myself, going back and forth with what I want, being scared to waste my time and look stupid in case none of it worked out. And then I realized it was all in my head. No one was doubting me except for me," close quote. And that hit home. Like, we've all been there. I don't care how confident you are. You can be doing a lot of stuff. You can be in relationships. You can be running with people. And you're like, is it worth my time? Am I going to look crazy? Am I look stupid? Am I look goofy, doing this? Is this person going to play me? You can get played in a relationship. You can get played in business.
Yep.
So that resonated with me. And it kind of, like you said, everything kind of came together and it all made sense. So I love the ending. I'm going to watch it again. I may do like you. I may just go back and watch all of the seasons again, because I really, really love this show. But I thought they landed the plane about as best you can ask, given the time constraints that they had. Like I said, I would have liked to have seen, Kelly, more from Kelly. I think, if I'm being technical, I think Nathan kind of.
I don't know why
he gave up so easy. He's like, man, this is not good for me, and he just walked off. I was like, okay.
And it was much like he had done. We didn't really talk about Nathan, but it was much like he had done throughout the whole show. When he ghosted her, then he came back, then he was half-assed there, half-assed not. It was Nathan. You know what? I always have said in my life that I never want to be in a Mondswell situation, right?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you know what? I might as well do this. I might as well do that. I ain't doing nothing else. I think about me and my ex, it had got to the point where it was like, well, I might as well marry him. I ain't doing nothing else. Or I might as well be with him. I'm not doing nothing else. You know what I mean? And that is not a way to want to live life when you really think about it, right? It's like settling. To me, Issa was settling for Nathan, which is the reason why I did not like him so much. I also thought that their relationship was boring. It did not bring out the best in who she was or who he was. And relationship of any kind, friendship, family, romantic, it should bring out the best in who you are, and it didn't. And that's the reason why I didn't like him so much. You know what I mean? I just didn't like him. I was kind of like, why are we focused? Why are we focused on this man so much? She could have just been like dating several men. Why are we focused on this man so much?
You know what's interesting? I didn't dislike Nathan. I actually like Nathan, but I'll be honest, I never saw them being together, long term, because I think and this happens, you just touched on a little earlier. I think they came in each other's lives at the right time for them, and it was more of a convenience thing. Oh, okay, well, because he came to her, and he came in her life when she was just getting the block party started and everything like that, and he gave her some. He was behind her. He gave her some support. And he was there for her, which is something that she couldn't necessarily, well, at the time she couldn't get it from Lawrence, because they were no longer together. But he gave her that support. And then, when he ghosted her and everything like that. And so they had a kind of awkwardness. And I think she appreciated that. But I think they were just kind of together more so for convenience as opposed to, now, did she love him? I think, yeah, she loved him. And I think he loved her.
I don't think so either. I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay.
I mean, we could go back and forth about this point forever. Like, I don't think so, because even when she was like, oh, I love you. And then he was like, or he said, I don't know who said it first.
She said it first.
Okay.
Yeah, she said, yeah, he didn't say it in return.
Yeah. So because it was just like one of them things. I feel like it was just one of them things, kind of like, I don't know, it's the slip of the tongue. Like you just talking and you like, oh man, I love that. Like, I love you. Not like I'm professing my love to you. It's just kind of like, I love when you do that. It makes me love you. Just like on some like, you want to go to the store? I don't know. I just didn't get I probably am focused too much on him as well instead of their relationship. He just gave me nothing. He just gave me nothing as a man. I just was like, what is he here for?
You know what I picked up on? Twice he said to her, you all over the place. He said that to her twice.
Had a lot of nerve.
And when he said that, because he was like, yeah, you kind of all over the place. And then at some other time, and I think when they were going back and forth about the love thing, he was like, man, you all over the place. And I'm like, for you to tell her that she's all over the place. I was like, that right there, those two lines, and these were different episodes or whatever, but that him telling her that told me that they weren't going to be together. I don't know what it was. I was like, yeah, they're together, but and honestly, going into that last episode, I felt like I didn't know that she'd get back with Lawrence, but I felt like she'd end up by herself, which would have been cool. You know, I just didn't want something corny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was great. Last question before we get out of here. Why do you think this show resonated with people the way that it did, particularly Black people? But I mean, I know white people watched it because, they had crazy ratings, but why do you think this show resonated with us as much as it did?
Well, I think it was just like what we said in the beginning. It was just really real. It was very authentic to our lives.
Yes.
Right. But it was more authentic to not just our lives, but to the show. Right. This show reminded me a lot of The Wire.
Yes.
Right. So with The Wire, it was so much different than like Power. Right. It's so many unrealistic things that happen in Power. Like my man is all over the whole New York City with no car, just craziness. With The Wire, you saw the progression of the show and the realness of the show. When Stringer got killed in season 3, that was real. Kingpins go down every day.
Yep.
They die every day. It's
Every
the only
day.
2 places you won't go, to the jail or to the grave, right? And so with Insecure, every single thing that they went through was real. It was authentic to the show. It was character arc. It was like everything progressed, nothing stayed the same. Nothing, like not one thing in the show was unrealistic where you would be like, yeah, damn sure wouldn't happen. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Nothing, not one thing. I also think it was just like you had touched on the beauty of the show. It was like seeing us. It was really like a FUBU show, for us, by us.
Yes.
It was created for us. It was watched by us. It showed all different types of Black people. It showed that we are, like, we don't always have it together, or we do have it together. It showed family, friendships, survival. It showed just like everything that is true to what people really are going through and what Black people are going through.
Facts.
Us being in that corporate space and needing to, play the role. Even in the first season when Molly was telling that girl, like, you got to tone it down a little bit when you in here around these white folks, you know what I'm saying? Which we have all had that conversation with people in the workplace or your friends. Like, when you go to work, you can't be yourself. Or, like when you in work and you're like, yeah, Jim, I'll get right back to you on that. Then when you get home, you're like, bitch, let me tell you about these people in this damn job. So it just
relatable content.
It was just really true to us. It was a beautiful show. that's what I'm going to miss the most, just like really seeing us on TV. And another thing that I liked about the show, it like we're in this moment, right, of blackness.
Yes.
Ever since George Floyd, right? Now and everybody is like, oh, let's make a black show. Let's have more black people on the show. Let's do black stuff. Let's say Black Lives Matter and all of that. And Insecure, came at a time pre that, right?
Yes.
But also it's not like let's make this because this is what it is. You know what I mean? And it was authentic to the point of Black people are not just ratchet.
Right.
Black people don't just live in the ghetto. Black people don't just work at low level jobs, or what they would think is low level, which no job is low level, because you could be the president or the damn janitor, and it's in everything. We're all on the same level to me. But it showcased and highlighted what everyday Black folks got going on.
Thanks.
And I really love that, and that's one of the things that I'm going to miss about the show. But it's good that Issa is the creator, because she has so many things coming. And one thing Issa is going to do is highlight Black folks.
Talk to them.
Highlight Black people, and I'm not mad at that. Even though she had here and there little, situations in there when Molly was with the Asian boy and all that kind of stuff, she gonna show the realness of Black people, and I really appreciated that.
Yeah, I did too. You hit the nail on the head. I think it resonated with people because, like you said, we saw ourselves in so much of what we saw from everything. And then when you look even behind the scenes, like I would watch the Wind Down on HBO Max, and they have Black directors. Like everybody, there was no central director that directed each episode. They would have different people. I mean, like Regina King directed the episode. Kerry Washington directed a couple of episodes, and then some of these other directors, people that we've never even heard of, Black women. Yeah. Black women are at the forefront of that movement of that show. And Issa empowered so many people. So even like some of the other things, the other projects that she's going to work on, they're going to be people who got a chance to shine on Insecure that's going to get another opportunity, if not with her company or her companies, with other things. And she said, I think on a Wind Down that, or maybe it was an interview on a podcast, she said like, they've had writers from like season 2 or season 3 that they couldn't bring back because they were doing something else. And so they got in the writer's room. It's rare in Hollywood to walk into a writer's room and have one white man in the writer's room and everybody else is a minority, meaning they're either Black or Black woman or Asian woman or what have you. And that it just doesn't happen in Hollywood. And I think she's a trailblazer in that sense. And that's behind the camera. Some of the things that we saw, on camera, like you said, we ain't all ratchet. There was nobody that got shot in Insecure. I don't think we ever heard a gunshot the whole time. The only reference to a gun was when they got quote unquote robbed, by their friend from college. And that was more comical than it was anything else. So, it really exemplified some of the things that we see every day. Like you said, just everyday Black folk. Just everyday Black folk. And we all don't live, in the hood. We all don't live in the suburbs. We just trying to find our way and just trying to make something of ourselves and our families and stuff like that. And I think this show, hopefully, like you said, and I never really thought about it till you said it. This show was created prior to this whole movement of let's promote Black and let's give Black people all of this stuff. And hopefully that wave continues. And it's not something that, dies when, the memories of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor die. I like the fact that, it's about us and it's about empowering us. And it feels good to, even though it was comedy, the reality of it, you turn the TV on and you see people that look like you. You see people that share your experiences. You see people that know the same stuff that you know, that listen to the same music that you listen to, that wear some of the clothes that you wear, that drive some of the cars that you drive, and, have same goals and ambitions that you did. So I thought it was a beautiful show. Like I said, it's something that I know that I'm going to go back and listen and watch. I actually listened to a podcast that was dedicated for Insecure. It's called Insecurity. I listen to that podcast every single week, and I love listening to those ladies. And I'm gonna miss it. I like I said, I would watch each episode at least 3 times before the next episode came on. So I would, because like I said, it'd be things that you'd miss and songs that you'd miss. So I'm definitely gonna miss it. And I'm looking forward to what's next coming from Issa and everybody else that was involved with the show, because wherever they are, I'm gonna support it. So
right.
So yeah, that's just about wraps it up. Before we get out of here, Maya, you got to tell people where they can find you if you can be found. Once again, thanks for coming on. Like I said, the next time we'll have Babi on here as well. Shout out to Babi. We just didn't think that she knew much about Insecure. She watched Insecure, so she's excused from this class. But yeah, tell folks where they can find you. Tell them about the podcast and everything.
Well, thanks again for having me, Kyle.
No
This
problem.
was very enjoyable. I always enjoy talking about Insecure because it's one of the faves, and you know that I love being on the 12 Kyle podcast.
Appreciate it.
So as Kyle said in the beginning, I am one half of We Did That Shit podcast. And we can be found wherever podcasts are found. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you listen to your free podcasts. If you pay for your podcast, you can find us on there too. And we're at We Did That Shit podcast on all of those platforms. On social media, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook at We Did That Shit podcast. And you can follow me on Twitter. My Twitter is MyMy13. That's MYMY13. And my other co-host is Babi, and you can find her on Twitter at Babi Amina. That's BIBBIAMINA. Yeah, and follow us. Our podcast is been on hiatus for a while just because
gotta bring it back, Maya.
Yeah, we are going to bring it back. I'm finally ready to bring it back. We were on hiatus for some personal reasons, but we are finally ready to relaunch the podcast. But go back and listen to our old episodes. I think that they are funny and informative.
They are. They definitely are. You trust me, they're not dated, so you can go back and listen to those podcasts. And I mean, like I've said it before, one of my favorite podcasts. And I'm looking forward to them two coming back together. If for some reason they don't come back together, I'm gonna have them on this podcast. So I'm gonna eventually make them get back together. And they gonna be on the 12 Kyle podcast like every 6 weeks.
Right.
So we're gonna make them come out of retirement. But again, want to thank everybody for checking out this episode. Make sure that you subscribe to the 12 Kyle podcast. You can find this podcast on all I'm getting tongue-tied. All platforms where you get your free podcast. The podcast also will drop from time to time this year on Sundays at midnight, but the main podcast is going to drop every Thursday at midnight without fail. And also the YouTube channel. Some of you may be watching on YouTube now. Make sure you check out the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ spell it out, TWELVEKYLE. That's going to do it for us. Once again, got to thank Maya for coming through. This is the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm your boy, 12 Kyle, for my girl Maya. Once again, I'm 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next time. 5Gs.
If you work in university maintenance, Grainger considers you an MVP because your playbook ensures your arena is always ready for tip-off. And Grainger is your trusted partner, offering the products you need all in one place, from HVAC and plumbing supplies to lighting and more. And all delivered with plenty of time left on the clock, so your team always gets the win. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, visit Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.